Welcome, Cardinal fans, to Inside the Cardinal Playbook. And again, we've got Coach Kruse here, and we've got a great show today. We got really a great kid and a great assistant coach that you guys are going to really enjoy. But first, Coach, I want to start off with you. I've thought a lot about this coming over to do the show, and I almost called you and visited with you before I came over, because I believe in positives. I don't believe in negatives. And when you lose, you put so much into it, it's very frustrating. But here's what I see as an observer and a close observer of what's going on. We go to Colorado, we play great first half defensively, without a doubt, against one of the better offensive teams in the nation.
Yep.
We come back here, play Valpo, and that was as good an offensive performance as I've seen. We were clicking and played well. My question to you, and I'm sure this is the same thing really that Cardinal fans could ask, and I think it's a fair one.
Yeah.
When can we bring those two halves together? Because I think all of us, and I talked to actually some of our supporters and fans when I left in the parking lot, and they're great people.
Yeah.
But it's true. When can we put the two together? And, that's the question I'll probably put before Gallagher and Riser when they come in later.
Well, hopefully sooner than later. That's always, as you know, it's always your approach to hopefully work all the three cores of the game together with offense, defense, and special teams. And I would say in the first half of last week's game, we did put all three together, very, very well. We gave up a touchdown defensively. I think at half it was 22-7 against a NCAA Division I opponent.
Right.
And that's they're at that level of play for a reason, because they're recruiting those type of players. We're still struggling to play four quarters. And as we've talked about for several years now, that's a growth thing as a team that you've got to learn and understand the dynamic of. We can't walk out in the second half, and as we talk to the players about and as they understand, we can't have a letdown. And you probably saw
the room for error is limited.
Well, and you probably saw in the first half on the sideline on Saturday just how confident we looked and how confident we felt.
Coach.
We knew we were going to make the next play. We knew this was going to happen, and it was going to cause this result, and we were going to make that play. In the second half, we came out, and they have a long drive to score. They're coached well too now, and they made They made some really good adjustments at halftime. He had a 12-play drive to score, and then we come out and we have a interception for a touchdown and some of those things, and there's a big momentum swing like that in the first half. At the beginning of the second half, and we didn't necessarily handle that very well. We came out and we weren't quite as sharp or weren't quite as focused? One may think possibly that was the case, and that's what we talked, a lot about yesterday was, hey, we've got to be able to focus for four quarters. I think our effort was there. Shoot, we took, at the last drive of the game when people would say, hey, the game's out of reach, why are you trying to use the clock here and call timeouts and clock it? And we took a last drive, 75 yards for a touchdown, on a systematic 2-minute drive. So I don't think our players ever gave up, or I don't think if it was an effort thing. I think it was more of a focus thing. Hey, we were so good in the first half against a quality Division I, NCAA Division I opponent, that I think in the back of our minds we thought, and we can't ever think this way, in the back of our minds we thought, oh, all right, we're just going to keep doing this. But to do that, there's focused effort that gets you to that point.
Absolutely.
And I don't think we necessarily had that for about a 18-minute stretch or so, 15 to 18-minute stretch in the second half.
Well, let's again stay positive, especially teams. And I was just up there beaming. The first half, because I said, this offensively, this defensively, and blah, blah, blah. But I said, without a doubt, we won the specialty team battle. And I want you to talk a little bit. Your scheme and your game plan on specialty teams was outstanding the first half.
It was one of those things that as you watch the film throughout the week, you see a couple different opportunities, as we do every week, to maybe create some plays in special teams. Our approach is always been to win games in the special teams area. We don't want to just maintain and try not to lose in the special teams area. We want to make enough plays in the special teams that gives us a better opportunity to win. That's how we, change things at a place like this. And I think we were able to do that. I think for the most part throughout this season, we've done a good job of that on special teams.
So far, now, we won a game on special teams.
And we've we've had some letdowns. We're not perfect. We're far from perfect there. We had a few things on Saturday too that we'd like to have back in the special teams area, but we were able to create some big plays in the special teams to either set up touchdowns or maintain drives or steal a possession or create huge field possessions advantages, with some of our return game things, and then, one of our punt looks where DJ is in there. It's kind of an offensive and a blended punt look. And he punched the thing down in there, and we down it on or inside the one twice. And some of those things are, we're this close, and we're really stressing punt teams right now with our punt block look. Have a couple nice kickoff returns, and had an unfortunate hold, which we can't do on the first one, but that one's going for 50 as well. Have a big punt return, and so those things are all positives. But we've got to be better in that area as well, and continue to be more focused throughout 4 quarters in all phases of the game.
You bet. You look at that, and I want to talk a little bit about, in a situation where you're trying to build a program, some teams have more margin of error than others. Mm-hmm. And you're in a situation where you don't have a lot of room for margin of error. You know that. The fans know that. That's part of what you're trying to do and build here. And you win 1/3 of it the first half. I believe you won the offensive battle of the first half, and I thought it was, if you didn't win it, at least it was a draw defensively. Mm-hmm. But, as an observer, you turn it over a couple times, and you're right. It happens in every ball game, not just at William Jewell. Let's get that perfectly clear, too.
Right.
You turn
no doubt about it.
You turn on any game.
Just ask LSU and some of the teams this last weekend that were.
So let's don't be too hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
But as a coach, it is a psychological battle to make people realize, and I really think that once they see that, that was a bad bump in the road, but that doesn't mean that's the end of the road or a dead end. No. How do you get away from that, as a coach? What is your take on that?
You've got to put yourselves in situations where, those things in your consistent play, allow you to overcome some of those lapses that you may have, and you hope you never have them. Defensively, I thought we played well in the first half as well, except for the first drive. Where we were trying to figure out some things as well. There's a lot of coach speak. We can all talk about it, but at the end of the day, we've got to learn how to do those things, and we've got to consistently approach it the right way, that we're focused every single play. And that's a big thing for us, and has continued to be a big thing for us is, when you're trying to do the things we're trying to do, and the margin of error is slight, and our players know that as well, we've got to be more right than the teams we play. And especially when you're playing up a level of competition, you've got to be better and more focused than we were for 4 quarters last Saturday.
You look at the growth, and I think you got to look at the growth of your team. Again, you look at the Southwest Baptist, our win at the beginning of the year. Basically, we did win it on a big specialty team play. But we've seen flashes, and I would say specialty teams has been solid all 3 games. But we've seen flashes of really being a good football team. I still go back, and I know that you probably haven't had time to look at it because you have a lot more to do, but I'm still following what's happening in the conference. And I still feel like that we could be a factor in that conference.
Well, after 3 weeks of play, like I told the team yesterday, hey, we're still leading the conference.
Right.
In conference play, we're still undefeated, and there's a handful of other teams that are too. But all of our goals that we've set out for ourselves are still very much in hand, and we need to continue to get better here in the first half of the season, because we're going to hit conference play before too long again too, and everybody, no matter where you're at, no matter if it's a conference game or a non-conference game, your homecoming game is a big game, and that's the one we're playing this weekend. Every game's big, but there's more people, there's more eyes, there's more families, there's more all of these things that, as you know, can be a distraction as well.
Yeah.
And we've got to, again, the word of the week is focus. We've got to be even more focused this week than we were last week, with all of the other things that can stray us from the goal here. And we've got to focus for for 60 minutes on Saturday.
Yeah, I looked at homecoming as far as an AD and a coach when I was doing both as Nightmare on Elm Street. But I was at a high school level, and so they even get more froggy on the high school level than
Yeah,
the college
you
level.
say that they get more. I don't know that it changes a whole lot. Now, I haven't been in
get
that
froggy,
environment,
but they get froggy.
it's no different in the college environment.
Yeah.
The places I've been is that, for whatever reason, there's
We're playing
more
football game first.
They're pulled in so many different directions
Absolutely.
that week that it's hard on them as players to, maybe, compartmentalize everything that they need to be doing that week. And at the end of the day, their academics and the football is probably, at least in our mind, is the most important thing they got going on.
Well, yeah, and I believe that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many years, 37 years, I used to say, buddy, the game's more important. You lose a homecoming game, they'll never forgive you if
Yep.
you're a senior for the rest of your
Yeah.
life. And that's
Yep.
the way I used to it's your homecoming.
Yeah.
And if you lose it, they're going to remember the little pom-pom girl, the dance girl, and this
Right.
is fun, and I was queen, but you guys lost.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you've got to be ready to play.
Yep.
And it's kind of interesting. And it is hard for a coaching staff because there is so many outside influences. But good luck to you guys.
Thank you.
This is not your guys' first rodeo, so
No.
I'm sure you'll be good. What I would hope to see, and we'll get to the next segment here where we have Coach Gallagher on talk about the receivers because they had a great game.
Yep.
But, what I want to see continue is the improvement, and hopefully we can put 4 quarters together because we're right there. We've seen all of our phases be effective. Now we got to put it together for 4 quarters.
Absolutely. That's the focus, and we're going to try and get it done this weekend.
Well, again, Cardinal fans, we'll be back. We're going to have Coach Gallagher and one of our receivers, which is my favorite time, Quintin Riser is going to be in here on the last segment. But, Coach, we'll have you on here at the end of the show, and that's this segment of Inside the Cardinal Playbook. Cardinal fans, welcome back to the second segment of Inside the Cardinal Playbook. It's my pleasure to be with a young man who I think a lot of has been here basically the same amount of time I have, Coach Gallagher, who's our receivers coach. And, Coach, I'm really glad you're here with us. Always get to talk to you at one of the watering holes or someplace wherever we hook up. And I think you're a fine young man. I want to talk a little bit, I guess the theme of Inside the Cardinal Playbook this week is about, the ability to play 2 halves. We go to Colorado, and we play a great defensive first half. I think you agree, even though you're a receivers coach. And then we come back against Valparaiso and play a great offensive first half. Mm-hmm. How are we going to put those two together, buddy?
Consistency, I think, is the big thing. And really what it comes down to is, I think being consistent every day, in all the stuff that we do. Practice, meetings, film study, being consistent in all those things each day creates the habit of consistency when you need it, which is Saturday, because it doesn't matter if,
Oh, you're dominant the first half.
Right.
I agree with you. You're dominant. You're up 22-7 and rolling.
Right. And playing well. I mean, everybody's playing well. We're throwing the ball. We're running the ball. Offensively, the defense is playing great. We're putting together 8-10 play drives so they get to hang out on the sidelines, be cheerleaders, rest up, get water in them,
Absolutely.
which is great for the team, it gets everybody involved. And the big thing is being able to overcome mistakes when they do happen, because they're going to happen. They happen to every team, every game. Something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And then how do you get out of that? How do you get from that mistake to not having another mistake happen right after it, flushing it? And that's something I think that
I like that term, flushing it. That's really what you have to do in your mind.
Right. I mean, it doesn't matter. The play is over. You can't get it back. You absolutely can't do anything about it. It's done with. So for it to affect anything else, is absurd because, there absolutely is nothing you can do about it. So you might as well move on and forget that it happened. We'll talk about it later. And so getting able to get past those things in a game, I think we do a good job of rebounding in those situations in practice, because people mess up. We understand that in practice, okay, I'll get it next time. It's the same situation in a game. Get it next time. Don't let it affect your next play. So, and I think we're getting there, we're getting more consistent. We're getting, farther along in our progressions, both in the pass game and in the run scheme, so that the machine is becoming more efficient. It's really close to
It sure is.
to running, and now, we get to some of these spots where there's a couple mistakes. We gotta fix the machine and let it keep running rather than let it break down.
Actually, I learned a lot listening to a young coach. All you think you learn from old coaches, but no, that was really great. And I like the idea, Cardinal fans, about flushing it. And I think not only the players, but the coaching staff, just like you talked about, fans, which is me,
Yeah.
or somebody covering, that's close to the team. Really, it's the future, not what happened in the past. And
Right.
You do have to flush it. So now you really answered the hard question. Now I'm going to throw you a bunch of softballs.
Okay.
Once you talk about your kids in the first half, not only first half, really, you had a good game with your receivers the
Right.
entire 4 quarters. So let's talk about this because he did a great job. We had Riser on, and he's going to do a great job.
Yeah.
He's a great kid. Talk about those good kids you got there receiving.
It's an easy job for me because I'm blessed with a group of smart, athletic kids, and so the athlete and the brains, they help out my job because all I got to do is kind of point them in the right direction, and they do the rest. So you spoke about Quintin. He's a great kid. Attitude's always good. Effort's always there. Makes plays when he gets the chance to. The other guys, Nate had a big game.
Well, he sure did, and I was glad you went to him. Now, I don't try to say, why don't you guys, I haven't ever said that to any of you, but I've said to Rick up, and I don't know if you listen to our games or not, but I think he runs inside stuff, hash to hash. I mean, he is tough. He's got that big body,
Right.
And he can, he basically bodies people and gets great position. And man, he had a good day, 7 catches.
Yep. And a lot of the great stuff that Nate does is not in the pass game. If you watch him.
Absolutely.
I know. As fans, we're watching the ball and watching where the ball goes and watching the guy with the ball. But there's a lot of times where there's a poor guy from another team that's getting a beating from him somewhere else. Every play he's going out there, and if you're in his way, you better watch out because he's a big, strong dude.
That's why he's so versatile. He can play tight end, H-back, or wide out.
Right, and we used him a little bit Saturday for the first time with his hand down and created a little bit different element. He did a good job. So it's nice to be able to sub in and out of personnel groups without actually subbing personnel. To go from a double tight set to a 3-receiver set, or from a 4-receiver set to a 3-receiver set with a tight end without having to run guys on and off the field, not allowing the defense to sub essentially. And the other guys have been doing a good job. Mullins, he's a sophomore for us.
Really having a good year.
Good year. He's had a couple of good games back to back. Really quick, athletic. He's got the playbook down in and out as good as anybody on the team. James Harvey is senior. He's been doing a solid job. Always going to be in the right spot. Always going to be doing his job. So it's been good. We got some of the younger guys stepping up as well, and we're running about 8-9 guys out there at the receiver group, which we're trying to run 90 to 100 plays a game, and sometimes we're in 4-receiver sets. So that's a lot of plays. Got to have a lot of guys that can do it, and so far they've answered the call, and got to keep doing the little things right and getting better. But like I said, we're getting farther along in the progression of what the offense could be, and it's going to be exciting once all 11 that are on the field figure it out at the same time.
Well, I tell you what, the receivers here at Williams Hill have a great role model in you.
I appreciate that.
I got a chance to talk to Quintin, and he's classy, but so are you. You do a great job with him, and good luck, and just keep improving because
Right.
that first half was very impressive, and they did a great job, and you could see the confidence grow with your receiver course. So good luck. Again, I know it's a big one for you, homecoming. Now, hopefully it'll be a lot of Cardinal fans here, so we'll see you. Good luck.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. We'll be back with the final segment of Inside the Cardinal Playbook in just a second. And obviously, this is always my favorite time to have the opportunity to interview the players, and this week is no exception. Quintin Riser, our wide receiver, great young man. He really is a great young man. Really probably a typical student here at Williams Hill when he plays football. Yeah. Now, one thing I want to start out with, though, Quint, is talk a little bit about, I really thought the receiving corps did an outstanding job from the second half of the Colorado game to the first half against Valpo. You want to talk about, everything was open and everything was working. You want to talk about the difference?
I think after the Mines game, a lot of the receivers left kind of hungry. Everyone kind of wanted to make that big play that we didn't make in the Mines game. We felt that our defense played really well against Mines, and so we felt like it was our time to sort of step up and start kind of contributing to the team and helping our team push more towards a win. So I saw huge strides in practice from Ant Mullins, Nate Aggie. They were working really hard. James Harvey.
You bet.
They were all working really hard in practice and stuff like that, just desperate to make that play. And I think we saw a lot of that happen in the first half, and even on some into the late halves of the game we played on Saturday. Mm-hmm. So that's just a hunger thing. We're going to continue to have to work on that. Obviously, putting 2 halves together and finishing off a game, when you get up that much, you got to stay hungry. You got to stay after it,
Well, you look at your receiving core, and every receiving core in the country, whether it's high school and you played high school ball, college, or even the pros, you're a Bronco fan, unfortunately, like Rick Cole, so I won't hold that against you, but you stood up like a man, so I'm good with that. But you're the stretch guy. You're the guy that, if we're going to go deep, probably they're going to go to you, where the other guys have got a lot of strength in that area. How do you feel playing a part of that role for the offense?
A lot of times, I feel like that role is just take the top off, and so some of the underneath stuff can come open for us. So, I mean, I love that role, honestly. My favorite player in the NFL is Deshaun Jackson, and he does some of the same things, take the top off coverage and stuff like that. So, I mean, I really do love that role. I really love our core. I mean, I love how it seems like we have a receiver that can do everything.
I agree with you.
So together, we're very whole and we're very solid as a group. So just to know that I have a role in that solid group it's kind of a big deal, you know what I mean, for me.
No, you absolutely. You know what I've noticed too, and Rick made the comment about how you've gotten a lot bigger and stronger. But I also know your routes inside, and you are a stretch guy. Everybody knows it, that's seen us play. But you're doing a lot better running routes, the dig route inside, running skinny post and things. You're doing a lot better. Do you feel more comfortable? Or you just feel like, okay, I've been around, I'm a little stronger, and I can roll with these guys?
I think Coach Gallagher's really pushed to me like that I need to develop my game as far as like running better routes and getting inside and stuff like that. And he's really worked on me with developing my game instead of just being that little skinny kid that I was as a freshman, just running posts and fades and stuff like that. So that's had a lot to do with it. And I mean, as far as taking the hits and stuff like that, that putting on some size with our strength and conditioning coaches has definitely helped with that. Going across the middle is something that I'm comfortable with.
Well, we're going to play a big homecoming game at 1 o'clock against South Dakota School of Mines. And, you look at it, and you look at Colorado, and I'm glad you brought it up because I thought we played great defensively first half, and I know you do too. And I thought we played great first half offensively last week. Mm-hmm. And I think you agree with that.
Yes, sir.
How can we put the two halves together and really have something going? Because, I really feel like that we could play with anybody in the country if we could just get that confidence. It seems to me, and I want to ask a player, when something starts going south, like a turnover, that a little bit we think, uh-oh, is this going to happen again? Do you feel that way as a player?
Me personally, I've been here long enough and matured long enough to know that one good half, first of all, doesn't mean that, okay, we've won the game. And second of all, a turnover doesn't mean that we've lost the game. So, I mean, I feel like a lot of players, in a lot of places, the NFL sometimes can get down when those kind of things happen.
Absolutely.
But I think we have a strong core of seniors who have matured enough to realize that we've got to stay here. No extreme highs, no extreme lows. So no extreme highs when we go into halftime up 21, no extreme lows after we turn over the ball a couple of times. So I think that will help us progressing deeper into the season and into conference play. And a lot of those things are unseen yet. The work we've put in, they just haven't quite unfolded yet. But I think they're definitely going to unfold this week at homecoming. So
we only have a minute left, but good luck to you. But last question I'll pose is, I think we have a shot to be a factor in the conference. I've been following all the conference scores the first 3 weeks of the season, just probably like you guys have. But, I got to try to keep up to snuff during the games. I really think we have a shot to be very competitive, don't you?
Definitely. I feel like we have the scheme, we have the players. I think it's going to come down to us wanting it, us wanting to go execute, us wanting to make the big play. But all of the factors are in place, and we've seen this culminate over 3 years of my being here, and even more so like the quarterback's fifth-year senior DJ Blas being here, and then we have like Nick West, them all being here. We've seen it grow to this point, and I think that's going to start to show to people that we're ready, and it's gonna unfold, and I feel like we're gonna be right in at the end of the season, top 3, top 4.
Well, I sure hope so, Quintin, because you're a great young man, and you're a great example of William Jewell College. If you really, Cardinal fans, if you really want to know what William Jewell College is all about, all you got to do is look at this young man, and you'll be pretty pleased. Well, Cardinal fans, just remember, homecoming, 1 o'clock. Want to see everybody there. We all need the support we could possibly get. South Dakota School of Mines is going to be interesting. It's a long trip down. We made the long trip up, so we'll see how it goes. But we'll see you all 1 o'clock this coming Saturday for homecoming. Cardinal fans, welcome to our last segment here inside the Cardinal Playbook. I'm pumped. It's homecoming. Everybody got to get pumped if it's homecoming. Okay, you got that. We're playing South Dakota School of Mines. Their 0-3 coming in. We made that trip up there. They've made the trip back down. It's become kind of a pretty good series between us.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you talk about the
Mines? They've done some really good things. They were in the transitional process, kind of moving through the same timeline as us. and their head coach up there I like a lot. Stacey
Great guy, isn't he?
He's a great guy, does a great job with them. You know, they were 7-4, 8-3 last year, and they won a bunch of games. You know, early on, kind of in the NCAA Division II move up. Now they played some NAIs and some Division IIIs, but they had some success. And I think if he was, you know, you mentioned they're 0-3. If he was sitting here today, you know, 4 weeks ago, I would have said he probably would have placed them about 2-1 or 3-0 by now. So they're probably a little bit frustrated with where they're at with some of the outcomes of those games. But they've been competitive in all of them, and they've got some guys that can play, as we saw here last year when they played down here last year. They
really improved. Really
they
improved from the year before.
From 2 years ago when we played them up at their place,
right,
and beat them pretty good. But you know, last year they came back and repaid the favor. So you know, we're going to have our hands full on Saturday when they get into town. Now it's a long trip for them, and there's probably a 2-day travel, and you know, but they showed that they can do it and do it successfully a year ago, and we've got to you know, dot our I's and cross our T's and be focused for 60 minutes and plan on getting a victory.
You know, we're talking about homecoming. You might want to mention to the Cardinal fans, we only got 1 minute left, some of the things that they got planned here on campus real quickly, and then I'll go over the time and talk a little bit about the game. Yeah,
you know, they've got festivities planned all week long. You know, as you know, I try and stay out of those things, as we've got a pretty big thing going on Saturday too. You know, game time's 1 o'clock. They usually do a run in the morning. I think maybe Tom Eisenhower, our track coach, puts on, and you know, there's a Hall of Fame reception after the game.
We usually have a big
in the
feed
evening,
out
5 or 6 o'clock. I think there's a tailgate party beforehand. You know, a lot of these things I'm not involved in, but you know, see through different, you know, publications that are out there, and you know, homecoming everywhere is always a good time because there's a lot of people that generally come out, and you know, and I would invite the fans that haven't seen us play this year. You know, we're 1-2 right now, but you guys have seen us, and the fans that have seen us, we're playing different than maybe they've ever seen us play here for a long time.
Very entertaining, fun to watch
and
too.
Play hard, and you know, battling some really, really good teams and winning some tight games and some of those things. It's a really fun group to be around, that's for sure.
Well, again, Cardinal fans, hopefully all of you show up and really support these kids. In a minute, you'll get to hear Quintin Riser, for example, just a prime example of a wonderful kid that plays here at Williamsville College, and you should be very proud if you're an alumni, you know, and come and support these kids. Let's get one coach this weekend and even it up in 2-2, and then we'll have that big conference race. And I still think we're going to be a factor.
Sounds like a winner to me.
That'll wrap up Inside the Cardinal Playbook for this week. We'll see you all this Saturday here at Williamsville College for homecoming at 1 o'clock against South Dakota School of Mines. Thank you.